It was also the day when both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli injured themselves. One did not come out to field, the other retired while batting, and this has ramifications with Rishabh Pant as well. In the previous matches this season, Pant has looked to be in far greater control than otherwise. Almost like captaincy has brought about a different dimension in his batting. Even that being the case, Lucknow was 60 for 2 after 6 overs. Surely 180 should have been within grasp, even accounting for the inevitable slowing down of the surface. Since retiring from international cricket, he hasn't quite had as much sparkle as he did last season when he scored 524 runs at a strike rate of nearly 200. Bottom line here is that Lucknow's top three and Puran, wherever he bats, need to take more onus on themselves, at least in home conditions where they don't need to aim for 220 every time. Surely the Lucknow fans can expect something better than 7 of their batters getting to double figures but not passing 20. They have continued their journey downward and are getting into those familiar territories in which they will now be forced to start winning most of their matches. Mumbai Indians were in a similar spot in their opening game against KKR as well. They had scored 120 in the first 10 overs, more than what RCB got in the 10 over mark in this game. To be really honest, it used to be more difficult to score runs in my book cricket competition in school than it has been at Wankhede. The pitch for Ekana for the LSG versus GT match was said to be a 75% red soil pitch, which makes it bouncier. What's interesting is that this stadium is known for its variety of pitches. It's not just one red soil or one black soil. There's a lot of mixes there. And even in one of my previous videos, I had spoken about how LSG can convert their home ground into a fortress with the kind of attack that they have, but with a caveat that they need to tweak their batting to adapt to these conditions. Now, this was the second match played this IPL at this ground, and for the second time, the pitch exhibited enough assistance for the bowlers. Unfortunately for the Super Giants, this is the second time in a row that they batted first, and they went after a total that was way more than they should have. Take the example of Mitchell Marsh in this match, who lofted Rabada for a 6, then got an inside edge to the boundary for a 4, but then he tried to loft him again, and he was caught. The same with Rishabh Pant as well. In the previous matches this season, Pant has looked to be in far greater control than otherwise. Almost like captaincy has brought about a different dimension in his batting. That lasted all of 3 games as he changed that around to do more Pant things in this game. Now, that's not such a bad thing, to be honest. I'm a big fan of Rishabh Pant. I've always backed him even when he was failing in the test matches in Australia because it puts the bowlers off and it's very entertaining to watch. But I'm not sure if this is the 11 to do that with, and if this was a surface to do that on as well. Even that being the case, Lucknow was 60 for 2 after 6 overs. Surely 180 should have been within grasp, even accounting for the inevitable slowing down of the surface. And even more so when you have Glenn Phillips dropping a catch. It has to be your day now, isn't it? Not just in cricket, but also if you bought a lottery ticket that night. But jokes aside, just that two balls later, Aiden Markram fell to another aggro-filled shot. After he was dropped, 2 balls later, he gets out. The trouble for the Lucknow batting is it's multifold. Marsh, Markram, Pant, they make up their top 3, while Badoni, Samad, and now Chaudhary are three of the next 4 batters, not the most experienced. Amongst them is Nicholas Puran as well, but since retiring from international cricket, he hasn't quite had as much sparkle as he did last season when he scored 524 runs at a strike rate of nearly 200. Now, there's also a question mark on Puran's batting number. By most estimates, he should be batting at 3, especially given the kind of form that he was last season, and that's where he batted. What that would mean, however, is that Pant would need to skip down to number 4. But there's another problem. On pitches which are neither Wankhede nor Chepauk like this year, you need batting throughout the innings, not just for it to be top heavy. So Marsh, Markram, Pant, and Puran in any order make their top 4, then you have Badoni, Samad, and Chaudhary coming in at 5, 6, and 7. And despite Badoni's calming grace and Chaudhary's match-winning effort against KKR, that's probably expecting too much out of them. Last year, they had David Miller in their lineup. So on paper, they had someone floating in at number 5, 6, or 7, depending on the number of overs remaining in the innings, who could still go after the bowling. He didn't have the greatest season either, because of which he was released. But Puran's form had bailed them out on most occasions, at least as far as their batting is concerned. Now, in their squad, if you look around, they have Josh Inglis in their squad, whom they could have used to bolster this lineup in place of, say, a George Linda, and then you could have dropped one of those three other inexperienced batters and gotten an Indian bowler. But I don't think Inglis has yet joined the squad. He's getting married this month and his availability is limited, because of which he was dropped from the Punjab side as well. Now there's Matthew Britskia, who can come in, or there are some Indian options like Akshat Raghuvanshi and Himmat Singh. But the challenge remains the same. They will need their own time to get settled into the roles, given the relative lack of experience, especially in IPL cricket. The bottom line here is that Lucknow's top three and Puran, wherever he bats, need to take more onus on themselves, at least in home conditions, where they don't need to aim for 220 every time. On these kind of pitches, you don't need to be a Jaiswal and Vaibhav, you don't need to be an Abhishek and Head, or even a Patidar or David. They need batters to forge partnerships and then take down attacks later in the innings with wickets in hand. Surely the Lucknow fans can expect something better than 7 of their batters getting to double figures but not passing 20. Even in a format that they shouldn't look too seriously as that at the individual numbers that I just said, but not getting 20, that's something that we need to change. Besides, they need to start expecting slightly more out of their bowling lineup as well, which is delivered well in patches. It might not be a bad option to try out someone like a Naman Tiwari, who bowls left-arm rapid, skiddy pace. On the other side, the Patrick Patterson and Prasidh Krishna came out of the fore again, as it usually does in IPL cricket, as he forced Lucknow onto the back foot with his slower ball bouncers. Interestingly, he later said, I bowled a wide variety of balls. It's just so happened that the slower ones got the wickets. Bizarrely enough, though, in that innings, Kagiso Rabada, probably one of the best bowlers in the world, went for 54 in his 4 overs. The worst economy by anyone in either side. The next worst for GT was Ashok Sharma, and he conceded 32. He's playing his first season. And he also went on to take 2 wickets. Well, such is T20 life at times. In the other game of the day, Mumbai Indians crashed to their 3rd successive loss of the tournament. Having won the opening game of the tournament for the first time in over a decade, they have continued their journey downward and are getting into those familiar territories in which they will now be forced to start winning most of their matches in order to qualify for the playoffs. And that has been a problem for them over the past few seasons as well. Now, I have had a discussion about this earlier too, but other than Jasprit Bumrah, they need someone who can be incisive with his speeds, or can have some amount of mystery spin about him. Even in Allah Ghazanfar, for that matter, might have done well if you give him a greater run, but then you have a Mitchell Santner, you can't drop him, and obviously you can't play Allah Ghazanfar as an overseas player. When you have someone like a Trent Bolt getting whacked for like 50 runs of 4 overs, or Santner going for 3-6 of the first 3 balls he bowls, you know you're facing an unwinnable battle when it comes to your bowling. In a lot of ways, Mumbai Indians were in a similar spot in their opening game against KKR as well. They had scored 120 in the first 10 overs, more than what RCB got in the 10 over mark in this game. What helped Mumbai Indians in that encounter was KKR did not have an Andre Russell to follow, and Rinku Singh has not been in the greatest of form. RCB have a lineup which consists of Patidar, David, and Romario Shepherd, all of whom can combine to push that score to 220 to what KKR got in the end, which was 240, and that proved to be the difference. Which brings me to my next point, and to be really honest, it used to be more difficult to score runs in my book cricket competition in school than it has been at Wankhede. If this potent cocktail of no lateral movement, no ball stopping on the surface and on the batsman, and those short boundaries continue to combine, 240 to 250 could well become a norm here. And I'm not a big fan of this, but I'm not the whole audience. It would be interesting to see what other people say about it. As a cricket fan, would you prefer a ground like Wankhede to dish out such scores regularly? Or is it more fun to watch, say a score of 180 like on an average with the odd 220 tucked in, something which is more preferable? Let me know in the comments what you think about how pitches should evolve in IPL, especially in this day and age when you have impact subs as well. Lastly, it was also the day when both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli injured themselves. One did not come out to field, the other retired while batting, and this has ramifications from both the perspective of their teams themselves in this season. We'll have to see how that goes, but you have the national selectors watching them as well as they build towards the 2027 World Cup. How quickly they recover from this could play a part in what decisions these selectors take over the next 15 or so months. Bye-bye.